Hello, I'm Lori Dahl, and I'm here to explain my lesson of Explorers Come to the New World. This lesson would be for students between grades 7 and 10. It could be used in a world history class to discuss the expansion of the European empires, or it could be used in a U.S. history class to explain the explorers coming to the New World, which would lead to colonization. This is a smartboard lesson. The strategies I'm using are interactivity and mapping skills. They will also be doing graphing skills. The lesson will start off with a short presentation of the explorers that came to the New World. This lesson discussed 15 explorers. We will be looking at the first 7. The information is presented in a chart. This chart, a complete chart with all 15 explorers, would be given to the students as a handout, and they would have this chart to work as a reference during the game. The game I've chosen to review the information on the chart is a concentration game. I would divide the class into 2 teams, and the objective of the game would to be match the explorer's name, the date that their exploration began, the country they came from, and the region they discovered. The teams would take turn. They will choose from one number from each of the columns, and they will have to make a match. When the match is made, the team receives 4 points. If the match isn't made, the next team gets a chance. So I've set up a game board. There are 4 columns. There is a slide out of the directions in case someone forgets, and we can review those directions. When a student makes a choice, they can slide the boxes away and if it doesn't match, then, like these don't match, then we can hide them again. If we do find a match, last one's a charm, then the boxes can be carried to the ship and they will disappear. And then, of course, those numbers are no longer available to be chosen. The teams will play 3 rounds of concentration. Each slide has the directions, again, to review in case a review is needed. And they have a ship to put the boxes once a match is made. So after the game, the students will be doing a graph, who dominated exploration in the New World, and this is a way for the students to compare the European powers and their contribution to the exploration. So use the ships at the bottom of the page and the graph the number of regions for each country explored. Again, the students will be using the graph or the chart that was given to them in a handout, and then they can use that information to graph the number. Oops, let's go back. the number of let's change the view, and then you can see there we go. They have the ships at the bottom, and if they look at the chart, they can see that England had 2 discoveries, so they would graph 2 ships. And France has 3 discoveries, so they would graph the 3 ships. And Portugal has 1, and Spain had 8. And during the lesson, we could then review how to make a chart, what each of the parts of the chart are, that this is that we have the y-axis and the x-axis, and that we have labeled our y-axis the number of regions and our x-axis countries. We could go over that the chart has a name and that everything is clearly labeled. Then we could ask comparison questions such as which country has the most, which one has the least, and then after going over the basic knowledge of the chart, we can ask more in-depth questions such as why did Spain have so many more discoveries than the rest of the world? What happened with Portugal? It had been such a strong nation. And we can go into the history of exploration that way. The next part of the lesson is a graph. It is a map. It is a map of the New World, and the students would have a copy of this map at their desk, and as we were filling in the map, they would follow along. So the directions are on the sliders. Let's zoom in here. So the map would be, the directions are on the sliders. So the students would slide this out. They'd also have these directions at their desk. Label the 6 continents seen on the map next to the letters A through F. So the students would find the letters on the map, and they already have basic knowledge of geography, so they know that A is North America. So they could grab the pen and write North America. And so on. So they would identify North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, and Australia. Of course, Antarctica is not on this map, but at this point, that was not an area being explored. Then they would name the countries next to the numbers. So number 1 is England, 2 is Portugal, 3 is Spain, 4 is France, and so on. After which they would name the bodies of water. So we have 20 is the Gulf of Mexico, we have 17 as the Pacific Ocean, we have 13 the Indian Ocean, here we have 15 the Atlantic Ocean, and then they would need to name some of the other areas of the world, like the West Indies, which Columbus discovered, and so on. The boxes with the numbers would be put for, are arranged for the explorers. So Christopher Columbus discovered the West Indies. So we would put Christopher Columbus's name on 58, and we would write in Christopher Columbus. So the kids would come up, and they would write Now, as I have volunteers come up and write in on the map, the rest of the class would be filling out the map as well at their own desk, their own individual map, which they will be turning in. Following the mapping exercise, they will have directions to color their map and add a key. I would remind them to make sure all their labels were finished, everything was labeled neatly and clearly, and then they could review the rubric. So the rubric is knowledge gained, and this is important because part of the assessment for the unit will include a map and a blank map, and they will have to fill in accurately what the information asked for. Where did Columbus sail to? Where's Brazil? Where's the Pacific Ocean? So that is part of the objective for this lesson, is to have the students learn those areas. The next part of the rubric is that the labels are accurate, that they have put everything where it should be, and that goes to helping them learn the information so they could fill in a blank map. The next part of the rubric is the neatness of the labels. A map is very hard to read if you can't read the labels, and in order for them to study their maps later for the test, they will need to be able to read what they have written. So neatness is very important. The next thing is the color of the lines. They have to color the map, needs to make sense. If you're differentiating countries, you can't have Brazil and Colombia both be the same color of blue, because then it looks like it's all Brazil. So they're being assessed on their neatness. Of course, always we encourage that they have the correct spelling and grammar, so capitalization and spelling are part of the assessment. And the next one is color choice, because we want to make sure that the map is readable and that it will entice the reader into studying the information. The map will be given a title, and the title will have a purpose. The map should be a world map of explorers, not a U.S. map. So, and then the map has a legend, so we'll know where north and south is and any symbols that we use. I encourage the students to fill out their rubric themselves before they turn any work in. This way it gives them a chance to review what they've done to make sure everything is to their liking and that nothing was forgotten. So they assess themselves, then they will turn in the rubric to me, and I will assess the map, and then if there's any improvement that needs to be, I will allow them to redo it if needed. So this is my lesson on world exploration, and it would probably take at least one class period, maybe two. Thank you.